Hello and welcome to another drive-in double feature. I'm Ryan,
I'm Nathan.
and this is the podcast where we talk about two movies a week every Tuesday and Thursday. But before we get into anything, we have a Patreon over at patreon.com/drive-in double feature podcast. It's just a website where we have a couple of fun conversations between Nathan and myself, playing a couple of games, taking a couple of quizzes, just some extra content out there for you patrons, so for supporting us out there. But if you choose not to support us, do not worry. It does not affect any regular content whatsoever. So go on over and check that out. But today, we're talking about 1972's King Boxer or Five Fingers of Death, directed by Chang Hui Jong. And this movie actually has a pretty high distinction. It is one of the first movies in the US to start like the big kung fu craze of the 70s. This movie does predate Enter the Dragon. So
wild.
And in many ways, you could credit this movie for getting a movie like Enter the Dragon off the ground and it becoming so popular.
Yeah, what I think they called it the chopsaki craze. I think that's the term that Americans threw on these type of movies. You want to know something else? This might bring up your level of like for this movie. Tarantino listed as one of the 10 greatest films of all time. So obviously it's one of the best.
You know what? I think it's entering my top 10 right now.
It just slipped right in at number 10. But no, I think that's really cool. And I guess this movie was like, I guess I didn't realize that Warner Brothers had brought it over here, and like this one is like extremely popular. Like I knew music in this one. I had seen scenes from this one. I mean, speaking of Tarantino steals music from this one. I shouldn't say steals, uses music from this one. So it's interesting.
Well, yeah. So the music he's referring to is that famous scene in Kill Bill whenever she sees the people that tried to kill her, and it does like the that's in the opening credits to this movie.
Yeah, it actually pops up a couple times at the end of the movie too, and I think that's interesting. But no, this movie is pretty cut and dry, what you'd expect from a martial arts movie. You know what? It's another one I enjoyed. I thought this one was a very enjoyable movie.
Oh, it's this one's the other one had, for me, the other movie this week was, it sold me on the relationships of the two characters. This one is just like completely crazy, just always like there's like a fight all the time, and
yeah,
they are getting very, very violent.
Yeah, it's crazy how violent and bloody this one is. And I mean, it's neat. I really love these special effects. And once again, so the other one, I guess, is interesting picking both of these, because the other one, the choreography was cool whenever it was about him mimicking something. But I felt like the fights in this one were like really dynamic with how they used items or how they jumped around things. And I thought that was really neat about it. So it wasn't just about this, it was about other stuff around them as well.
Yeah, they everybody's constantly using different items. Like there's like a like they were like a jug of some sort, or just like their own different surroundings. But the main plot line for this one is there's a man named Ji Hao, and he's working under a master, and the master's like, "I'm too old. You need to go train with that other master now." And because he's going to be entered into a big kung fu tournament, and some students there, they don't like that he came.
No. Well, also you forget that the old man's like, oh, there's a big bully, and if the bully wins the tournament, then it's bad news for all of us. So please take him on, because that's this movie's about facing bullies at the end of the day. Because he gets to this school, and they're just mean to him. They don't like him. There's certain people that just don't like him, and he gets like, I guess, special treatment. It's very Mr. Miyagi-ish, where the main guy like forces him to do menial tasks because it'll help improve him at the end of the day.
Yeah, he's forced to carry water, and then people are just throwing like spears and other things at him, like as he's trying to carry these giant pails.
Yeah, I love that, but it's cool, and like, but there's some things with the situations at the school that are just a little silly to me. I think about, so there's a thug in town, and he ends up going to a bar, and he starts like yelling at him, right? Like he starts like harassing him. Also, maybe our movie experiences are a little different. I did watch the English version. I did watch Five Fingers of Death, and you watched the Mandarin version.
Yeah, so tell me, how was the dub?
Oh, it was bad, but it was fine. The reason I watched is because I guess in America that version was really popular. So I was just like, okay, I want to experience that version, give it a shot. And personally, I don't mind dubs that much. And it's crap. The voices don't match, so it's fine.
Nathan, I know subs over dub.
Subs over dubs, but I don't mind a dub every once in a while, especially for something like this. But I mean, voices don't match. They're yelling crazy stuff at each other. But yeah, so this guy, he yells at him in the bar, and he doesn't do anything. And this guy there's like, you didn't do anything? You didn't protect your honor? And then later he fights these people, and then everybody's angry at him for fighting them. It's like you win, you lose either way.
I know. Well, because there's a rule in the dojo that they say it's like, oh, don't ever go and like cause any fights, or don't don't start any fights, type of thing. And he abides by it. And like he said, they all are just like, you just stood there and took it. Like, what's wrong with you? And then he goes to the bar and he defends his honor and kicks the crap out of the guy and wins. And he's like, and then like you said, that first everyone's kind of mad, but then the master's like, well, you know what? I'm going to teach you this secret technique called the iron palm.
Not the iron palm.
Is that how they said it?
Yes, that is how looking out the window, and then he tells his master, well, this is a whole different plot. We're getting towards like later in the movie, but there's a traitor at the kung fu school who is upset that this guy gets to learn iron palm without him, or he doesn't get to learn iron palm.
Well, the guy is so delusional because he turns his back and he goes to he's talking to the master, and he's like, he's a terrible student. Like, why would you ever train him? Like, like, I don't get it. And then he goes to the bad guys to turn him, to basically give out information. And he's like, did you know that he's learning the iron palm? And they're like, oh, well, he must be an exceptional student. He's like, no, he slacks off from training all the time. He's just getting special treatment.
Yeah, exactly. In these thugs that he's going to, they're Japanese, and I guess that's a big thing for this movie is the Japanese people are not treated very well. They're treated as like the ultimate evil, that they're just not good people. But I do love, go ahead.
Oh, I was like, well, there's a reason for that technically throughout the nation's history, but
though there's reasoning that they don't. But I really
China very historically does not like Japan very much after a lot of very bad things that Japan did during World War II. So
yes,
that's so a lot of times like a bad guy will be in Japanese.
Yeah, but I do love how they're introduced, because they show a lot of footwear throughout the movie, and then when the Japanese people are introduced, they're introduced by their feet, and it's the classic I forget what you call them, but like the wooden shoes that they wear, and so instantly like, oh, those are Japanese people strolling in. I just thought that was a neat little thing to introduce these characters.
Those guys are great because all the bad guys are just like the most despicable people, and they act like they're so honorable in the movie. Like there's multiple attempts where they try to ambush Ji Hao, and at one point they do, and then they tie him to a tree, and then they get like a big stick, and they just like smacking his hands as hard as they can, and then they're just leaving his hands like a bloody mess. They're like, now you can never do the iron palm again.
Yeah, they get him cornered. But you know what's so funny about that? After breaking his hands, he just works through the pain. He just he gets through it. He's like, I can handle this. So
yeah. So one sequence I like, after he breaks his hands and he starts realizing he can do it, he's like, he tries and like chops a log, and he's just like, like my hand, and then he just like, it's not like later, like, he has to like do like a montage or whatever. It's just like 10 seconds later, he's just like stares at it and just like, and then he's like, yeah, there we go, and then he breaks it.
I just have to stare intently at it, and that's all you need. We're not talking about the love triangle here. There's this, because he's got a girl back home that loves him, and he has a musician in town that loves him as well. So,
well, I was going to ask you about that, and I was going to see, did you think he was going to end up with the singer, or do you think he was going to stay true to his girl back at home?
I thought he was going to stay true to his girl. I don't know. Classic movie stuff. So I was like, yeah, he's going to stay true.
Well, yeah, because he falls in love. Like, him and the girl are an item before he goes off to the new school, but she's kind of out of the picture. But when he's like the new guy in town, the singer falls in love with him. But that's kind of what spurns off the other guy. Well, I guess it's the love square or whatever.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah,
because the guy that turns on the school, he was in love with the singer, and because she picked him over him, I think that was kind of like the catalyst for him, like getting really mad at the guy.
Yeah.
But even after telling him about it, there's a big tournament going on, and the guy that the backstabber, he gets beaten in the tournament by our main character. And then he goes to the bad guys, and they're just like, all right, we're going to have a little sparring match of our own. And it is so crazy. Like the moment that scene happens.
Oh, I know. I love it. And I was not expecting them to make him a blind man for the rest of the movie. It came out of nowhere, in my opinion. But it just shows the brutality of these people. Yeah,
he gets knocked to the ground, and the main bad guy that jumps in the air and just brings both of his fingers down into the guy's eyes, and just like he's just holding his eyeballs in his hands like two ping pong balls.
Yes, yeah, and you know what movie this is kind of like?
Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber, yes.
Yeah.
I was thinking The Village, but that doesn't have an eye scene. I don't know, but no, I thought that was really cool. I was watching it, and literally in my head, I was like, oh, like Kill Bill. Gotcha. This is, I'm connecting some pieces here. No wonder he loves this movie. His girl from back home shows up, and you have to tell me if the dub or if the subtitles do this. So he's like, where's my master? And she's like, oh, he's away on training.
So like the bad guys actually travel to his old master's house and brutally murder him. The girl is like, oh, my dad, and so she travels to the tournament, and he had like just won, and he's like, oh man, I can't believe you're, or maybe it was before the tournament, but
yeah, I mean, this scene happened before the tournament,
right? Okay, then yeah, so she was trying to, I guess, not get him. The whole point of she was lying is just so that way it wouldn't affect his mentality before the tournament. So she was like, oh, he's resting back at the inn.
I love the actual tournament when we do get there. It feels like an actual, just like, once again, kind of reminds me of Karate Kid in a way, where it's just like a regular old like kung fu fight. You know, it's not too showy, not too big.
No. I love my tournament arcs in my anime. I love the tournament subplots in any anime. So I was all for the tournament.
Got you. Is that what Yu-Gi-Oh is all about? Is that all tournament anime?
I mean, kind of, but there are pretty much almost every fighting anime of some sort has some type of tournament.
Got you. And you know what? All can be traced back here to King Boxer.
That was the very first tournament in the movie.
Oh, ever? Wow, that's awesome. There's a lot of firsts with this one.
On the way to the tournament, though, he encounters one of the guys that he had fought in the bar, and the guy in the bar is just like, "Hey, I'm not teaming up with them anymore because those guys are not very honorable, and I don't want anything to do with them." So he fights like the main Japanese guy in the forest. There's one part where one guy gets hit so hard that he flies and knocks out of a chunk of a tree. Like this tree could
oh, that's right. He like flies right through it.
Yeah, this tree could practically be tipped over by just afterwards because there's nothing supporting it anymore.
Yeah, no, I really like that. But is this also the same scene where a dude gets karate chopped just straight in the head and it's like split open?
Well, there's multiple scenes of that.
Whatever they do, like that's just like the staple of this movie.
There's many scenes where like people get like this brain splitting chop to their foreheads.
I guess the common move at the time for kung fu. I don't know. Once again, this one we talked about Dirty Ho having a lot of blood in it, but this is like over the top blood, and I love every moment of it.
I would even say it's still subdued, probably compared to other movies. Like
really,
compared to like Lone Wolf and Cub.
I guess you're right. Yeah, Lone Wolf and Cub is like the water jets of blood.
Yeah, like you just slice them open and it's just like the spraying water.
Yeah, which I guess is like the really fun type of blood. But I don't know. I think here it looks good.
Yeah, I guess what I was saying, it's not overdone.
Gotcha.
It's a good amount.
You know, I can tell this is like one of the first movies of theirs to like cover kung fu, like compared to like later, because it feels kind of like a stepping stone, like building blocks. Like comparing Dirty Ho to this, like Dirty Ho has a lot more color, and the fights maybe, I don't know, it's a little different. I feel like maybe this one is them kind of building up to different kinds of kung fu movies after this, because this one seems, I guess, basic. Like, you know, it's a basic plot, pretty basic altogether, which isn't a bad thing. I think that's fine, but you know what I mean?
No,
okay.
no, I know what you mean. It's a great prototype for other movies to come, and I like the stark contrast between them because it's like one's like kind of like an ultra serious one, and one's like a little more lighthearted, and it's more about like the people in it. This one, it's just pretty much just like, you killed my master, you killed my family, I'm going to kill you type of thing.
Yeah. Which, you know, is always fun. His hands glow red at the end of the movie when he uses his iron palm move, which is fun.
Yes. Epic.
Epic. It seems like something out of an anime. But I that's like the cover that I see everywhere is him with the glowing red hands holding them up. I guess it's where 5 fingers of death come from.
Now I don't know if you had this in your, but did it show like the actual American credits on yours, or was it actually in Mandarin for the opening?
At the opening, good question. I don't remember. I believe it was Mandarin at the beginning of the movie.
Oh, on the Blu-ray they had the option where you could watch the US intro opening credits, and it was like this real funky like type of opening. Yeah,
I don't remember. I'm gonna have to go back and look at that. That's pretty cool.
So I'm really curious if there was any differences now, or because there's did they show like the scene where they invaded the enemy dojo, like all the guys were there?
Yeah, no, I remember that. Yeah, so that was in there,
right? So after the tournament's over, the main bad guy trainer, he stabs his current trainer and like leaves him for dead.
That's right.
And, and they go and they're in a dark room, and then all of a sudden the guy that had his eyes ripped out rips out the guy who ripped out his eyes.
You gotta love it. So I think he's more powerful than our main dude, because it's a blind man ripping out another man's eyes. Like it's kind of nuts.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's pretty cool. Actually, I like that.
I was not expecting that at all, and I was just because I thought mainly what was going to happen was like the blind guy was going to come back and be like, "I'm sorry," like do like the "I'm so pathetic" type of thing, like please defend our honor. But no, he just comes back and like, no, I'm taking your eyes since you took my eyes.
No, I think that's really neat. And we didn't really talk about the character who is on the thug side and actually goes over to help our main character as well. I really liked that character. There was something about him because he was like, hey, these people I'm working with, they're bad and I don't want to help them anymore. So I'm gonna help you out now. So I don't know. That was a cool character development thing in the movie.
Yeah, that was the guy I mentioned that went through the tree.
That's right. Yes, you didn't. Okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
but we didn't go into his story.
Well, no, yeah, because I did like his intro a lot because there's they just had this random scene where it's like they had this Mongolian strongman just standing in the middle of the street, and they're just like, it's like whoever wins gets 100 gold coins or something, and he just shows up out of nowhere because the Mongolian guy like beats up one guy really easily, and then this guy just shows up and just beats the crap out of the Mongolian guy. But he's got a really cool-ish type of look. He's got a giant receding hairline, but it's like split in half.
Yeah, he's really got like hair. Such a big like head, but it all comes down to the side. I don't know. He's got a really cool look to him.
Yeah, but then he loses his head,
unfortunately.
Well, before that though, did they explain why the evil master just like killed himself?
No, he just he just commits what do they call it? Harakiri out of nowhere.
Seppuku or what?
Yeah, seppuku. Yeah.
Or I don't know, but I didn't understand why he did that because it was just like, oh, my dojo lost honor or whatever, so I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah, if it's dishonor, I don't know.
But
easiest way for the script writers to get him out of the movie,
I guess, because he kills the guy that ripped out his son's eyes or whatever, and then he kills the female singer.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Yeah.
Because chops her brain right in half.
That's so messed up, man. She did nothing wrong. She actually gave us a few those parts aren't dubbed. She's actually singing in Mandarin. Could you imagine if they dubbed the singing?
They've done that. They've done that in some like anime where it's just, and I'm just like, ooh, that's rough.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
But I did like it. So we're kind of jumping all over here at the ending, but
yeah.
But when when the blind man is fighting the evil master, she's like kind of yelling instruction, like go for his stomach, go for his, because he can't see. But it takes out those two characters, and so the only person that's left is the evil Japanese assassin, and he, unfortunately, like he said, he's got our balding friend's head, and that's our main event fight, is the main character versus this guy. One part I liked a lot was there's one where the main character there's so many cuts as the character is leaping, it looks like he's flying almost, or he's just like,
I noticed that too,
because he hasn't touched the ground. It's just like he keeps jumping in the air, but you don't ever see his feet touch the ground, so it's just like it looks like he's just like
No, I mean that's great. I think if I think about this fight scene, I do think about how fast it is. I guess it went by really fast for me. Like it's like over. Like I guess we talked about this last time.
Well, yeah. So this is because when the fight scene started, there I was looking at the runtime. I was like, there's probably not much left, and I was like, oh, there's only 2 minutes left. Okay, here we go, and that it pretty much like they get into like a big fight, and he does hit his iron palm and hits the Japanese man so hard that he flies back and crashes through a brick wall.
Yeah, a brick wall. It's so, I don't know. I love that. I just seeing that a guy get blown back through the brick wall. Was the brick wall in any shots earlier? It felt out of nowhere. This guy going through the brick wall.
Well, he got hit through twice.
That's right. So stupid.
Like he gets back up and then he hits another iron palm and he flies back again and crashes through.
I don't know. I feel like that iron palm looked like it would kill you in one hit, but this guy's pretty strong.
Well, yeah, because there's a couple of guys he hit with the iron palm, and it's like their face would become like a bloody mess.
Yeah, but I guess this Japanese guy's made of sterner stuff. I don't know.
I guess, but he probably all of his internal organs are just like jelly on the inside.
I can only imagine. But no, so I guess overall, like this movie is, I don't know, it's another fun kung fu movie. Maybe not on the silly side, but it's on the over the top side where it's more like fun because it's doing all these crazy things, has all these crazy plot points. I don't know.
Well, yeah, because again, you got to kind of put it into context of the time. So I really enjoyed it a lot. But I was just thinking, like, can you imagine, like, you're just back in the 70s? I mean, like, the extent of like fight scenes are just like a couple like punches, like in a saloon in a bar, maybe like in a Western.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, what's this? And you just like go and watch them just like the most insane fight scenes you've ever seen in your life. It would just, I could easily see like how this could cause like a kung fu craze. Just, and how like it inspired all these other, like, it inspired a whole generation of like rappers too, and everything. So I could easily see why, because you would watch this movie as a kid, and you'd be like, oh my god, that's the most mind-blowing thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, because it's so different. I always think about that, like that time in cinema, like late 60s, whenever, like, I don't know, it was more underground where these violent movies were happening, and then the 70s hit, and I feel like a lot changed, and like movies like this, we were getting movies from other countries, and we were kind of seeing how crazy they were and hyper violent. It must have been a shock. No wonder there was like a whole exploitation craze like that whole decade, because it's like, we got to get more of this. We got to see like how crazy these movies can get.
Yeah, like violence started becoming mainstream.
Kind of, yeah. So and then Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert took it back on Siskel and Ebert. They said violence is awful, and then they wrote down all of the addresses to all of the Shaw Brothers workers.
Please send all your hate mail and fly to China and tell them how much you hate this movie.
Yeah, but no, Gene Siskel surprisingly actually likes this movie. He gave it a 2 out of 4, which is higher than what I would expect from him.
Did Roger Ebert rate it?
I could not find a Roger Ebert review of this one, so unfortunately,
he probably passed.
Probably, knowing Roger, he's so stupid. I hate Roger. I'm more of a Gene Siskel guy.
I always thought you were an Ebert guy.
What? How could you say it? But no, I do think there's an episode out there where they end up talking about it later. I just found out about it, so I will watch it, and I will see for myself what's going on there. But no, I mean, this movie is definitely, like we keep talking about, it's iconic, one of the first of its kind. It's definitely like a good kickstart to a whole genre. And yeah, I'm really happy I saw this. I think it's a neat movie. I recommend it. Definitely check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Check it out. It is definitely worth watching. I mean, if you're a martial arts freak, you've probably already seen this. And if you're somebody that's not so well versed in martial arts, I would definitely say check it out. It's a good starting point for that type of stuff, I think. But anyway, that will be it for Kung Fu Week. So Nathan, what are we going to be talking about next time?
Oh, wow. Can you believe it? We're already back at it again. It's time for another Bondzilla week. We are talking about You Only Live Twice. We're back to the normal Eon Bond films, Sean Connery.
Thank God.
Yeah, honestly, yes. I'm like, okay, can we please get a real Bond movie? So yeah, we'll be talking about that. Unfortunately, that is not streaming anywhere, so you will have to rent it, or you can join us and you can get the lowdown from us.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for sticking with us this far. And please send us an email over at driveindoublefeaturepodcast@gmail.com if you have any thoughts, opinions. Please follow us on Twitter at DIDFPod. And then once again, check out the Patreon at patreon.com/driveindoublefeaturepodcast. But until next time.
Until next time.